Welcome to the Edamame Anime Club, where we ran into an elderly baby. Now we have psychic abilities. I'm Steve, and I'm joined by my co-host.
Alexander, as always, great to be here.
It is always great to be here. Now, before we get into any anime, we always like to start off with a cold beer.
Yeah.
And I picked one that is relevant to what we're going to cover. So, what anime are we doing today?
We're going to be doing Akira.
Akira.
1998.
It's 1998?
Yeah.
Really?
No, 88. No, it's 88.
88. I was going to say, you just told me it was an 80s
Yeah,
anime.
no.
All right. And I picked this one because there's a lot of overarching theme with war. That's always a big theme. And it starts off with kind of like a, like, what do they call it? Like the big boy or whatever?
Yeah, it's like an atomic blast.
Yeah, it's like what happened at like Nagasaki or Hiroshima.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of relevance to that. And it is based in Tokyo, which, you know, Japan.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes in that. And it's funny because I know you're eager to drink it, right? I am too. All right.
All right.
Kanpai.
Kanpai. No, it does start off with a nuclear bomb in the very beginning opening sequence.
Yeah. Ooh.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it kind of grows on me. This is called the Bombshell Blondie, which if you and the reason why Bombshell Blondie, and I'm not sure I'm sure you're aware of this, you're a history buff, but Bombshell Blondie was kind of like an artist drew a picture of a blonde female that was entering the war, and it was just too risque, so they removed the picture, and she was kind of titled as the Bombshell Blondie.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of where I got like the cultural relevance to this because
I did not know that.
It was all based in World War II times. Yeah. So this is kind of where that came from. But yeah, so there's a lot of themes of war in here, and it was hard to find one. I wish there was one that says like overpowered nerd. But there wasn't one. Yeah, make one and then we'll sponsor us.
For a good beer IPA probably.
Yeah, it would be like it would be like 13% IPA, whatever the legal limit to sell it.
Dude, that's actually a good idea. We'll just create our own IPA and it'll be called like Isekai MC.
Ooh, I like that. We should just make a whole line of anime beers and sponsor other anime. Yeah. Well, there you go, guys. We're gonna be in the beer making business soon.
All right, I'll buy the hops.
Yeah, and I'll just drink it.
I already got a family member who's an expert.
Oh yeah! Shout out to Manny.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get into this one. So I brought this to your attention.
Yeah.
And we've came home from a bar one time and just drunk off our asses, and we are thinking of what to watch, and we put on Akira.
Yeah, this was a long time ago, and I don't really remember that watch, but I
you
remember
fell asleep.
Yeah, but I remember thinking it was going to be like a motorcycle racing anime.
I think that's what everyone thinks. I honestly put it on because like I wanted Marcus to watch it, your brother, and he likes like motorcycles and cars and stuff. Yeah. And I thought it was a whole thing about motorcycles and like gang and war and anything like that, or like not even war. It's like gangs and like running the streets. Yeah. Super not.
I put on Hulu right to watch it, and I read the Hulu description. I was like, what am I about? Like, this doesn't sound like anything of like what the poster looks like.
Yeah, and that poster is like well known for being that poster. And so there was a lot that went into it. So, but before we get even in deeper and give out any spoiler alerts, let's get into some information on the creator. And I have some funny. I'm gonna bring up something funny about the guy that made this anime.
All right.
That I think you'll like.
All right. So, Akira is a 1988 Japanese animated cyberpunk action film. It's directed by Katsuhiro Otomo and produced by Ryōhei Suzuki and Shunzō Katō, and based on the 1982 manga of the same name, Akira. I usually talk about the reception separately, but I'll just keep going on here. So, Akira was released in Japan in 1988 by Toho, and it was released the following year in the United States. It garnered an international cult following after various theatrical and VHS releases in the United States, eventually earning 80 million worldwide in home video sales, which is pretty crazy in 1988. There can't be that many anime fans. It has been cited as a masterpiece and is widely regarded by audiences and critics as one of the greatest films ever made, especially in the field of animation, in the genre of action and science fiction.
What do you think about that?
I think for the time it's easy to give it that title. Greatest film ever made, and the title of animation, yes. Greatest film ever made, probably not.
I think
as far as animation goes in 1988, yes.
I'm talking like cultural relevance beyond this. Like all of I feel like this was the the westernization of an anime. Like,
Oh yes.
yeah, like this was one of the anime that got brought over because 1988. I mean, there was anime wasn't very popular in America, and I think this is what sparked a huge one. It might not have been the first one, but I think that it sparked a lot of animation or anime fans to really just be like, there's something there.
Yeah.
And I do think that a lot of the scenes and a lot of the themes are widely used in all media across the board, whether it's like comics, movies, shows, all of it.
It's very influential, like highly influential, and as I was watching it, I can't even like. There's probably like 5 or 6 anime. It was like reminding me of like not even anime, but just shows in general, or like tropes or topics.
We'll talk about them when we get into the spoiler section. But I'm with you with that. Let's see, we have the same ones.
Okay.
All right. So so I do think it on kind of like it's like one of those movies that's not the greatest movie ever, but it sparked like a lot of people are still talking about it now.
Yeah.
Obviously, we are, right?
Yeah. To me, one of the main thing I was amazed by was the quality of animation. Like it was extremely good.
Yeah, I agree.
It was hard for me to believe it was made in 1988. But we'll get more into that.
Yeah.
So yeah. I guess I'll go ahead and read some reviews.
Well, we do reviews first, and then that way we don't get influenced by them,
okay,
even though I know you already read them.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll go first. Honestly, this anime really didn't. It took a while for me to. It was a slow burn at first. It really didn't. It turned a whole 180, and I've talked about it on multiple episodes where anime goes and just is very simple plot, but then it goes into catastrophic events. Very simple stuff. Devilman Crybaby did it. I mean, you were thinking just like Devil Hunters. Nope, it goes even further than that.
Yeah.
And it makes like this like post-apocalyptic world, and this one is no exception. Like it really went off the deep end, and I've never said it's a bad thing. I just feel like that's a huge trope that we see now. It was a hard movie to watch. I've watched it twice this week.
You watched it twice?
I watched it twice.
Damn.
But I had trouble even because I feel like every time you watch it, you can feel and see new things.
Yeah.
And you see more, but the relevance that it has, the cultural relevance that it has still now, all the anime that came out of it, the fact that it got even brought over to America, and we're watching anime now, and maybe that wouldn't have happened if it didn't come over. Maybe you would, maybe I wouldn't. But at the end of the day, it has so many things, and it sparked so many different medias to pull from. The music was phenomenal.
It's not that I don't want to say I didn't like it. It is very well placed, although I wouldn't. It's not something you would ever listen to. Like it's very well done soundtrack. Yes. I don't think the music is like good in the sense.
Like
of,
it's not gonna crack my Spotify.
Yeah, you're never gonna be listening to this music on a.
Yeah, on your drive to work.
Yes,
but it showed the themes that were happening in there. Like it showed whenever characters were getting darker. It showed whenever a character was appearing on screen. It showed when something eventful was happening. Yeah. And they did a good job doing that. It was really interesting to watch this anime because I've never seen it before it's like prior to this year. I've never seen it before. And so I'm gonna give this a pretty high rating of a 4.75.
4.75.
I do think that I'm influenced by the world making this decision, but I'm also going by it would be a perfect 5 if I allowed just the relevance to like take effect.
Okay.
But I'm gonna give it a 4.75. I did enjoy watching it. I'm probably gonna watch it again.
Yeah, this is definitely one that you can rewatch, and you probably should. We were talking about it, and I probably should have rewatched like the last 20, 30 minutes of it. I probably should have, but
it's like a whole different anime.
Yeah. So as far as going into my review, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't really care that it went so balls to the wall. Like I just kind of said, okay, I accept it. All right, that's happening. Okay, it's getting crazier and crazier now, and I was like, I'll go along with the ride. I didn't dislike that. The things that I did dislike were kind of like I didn't like the dub version of it.
Ooh, I have something on that.
Okay, yeah. I didn't like the dub version, which I don't really want it to detract from as much as good of a movie as it was, because it was still really great. The animation was phenomenal, like top notch. The main thing I didn't like was the characters. I actually didn't really like Tetsuo. I didn't really like Kanade. I didn't like his quote unquote love interest that was non-existent for me. Kaori and Tetsuo was more interesting, and even then it was just yeah. So I didn't like the characters. After that, I don't even think the characters are worth mentioning. They're kind of just set in their place. But like as far as character development, I didn't care for it. But I don't really know how that would have been able to fit in deep character development
I
with,
think
what was going on.
I think Tetsuo had pretty good character development because he's the first
Yeah.
to do what he did. That sparked the same thing of being overpowered dork. With yeah. Which I won't get into depth about a bit, but he's the first.
Okay.
So, but I get what you're saying though. Yeah, the characters, and I have another thing to tell you about the characters, but I'll let you get your review out.
All right. So yeah, the main detriments for me were the dub. I actually tried to watch the sub originally, and I got like 5 minutes into it, and I was like, there's too much animation going on right now. Like I'm missing too many small details. Like I need to be paying attention to this. Like it's too hard to read the subtitles and see the tiny little nuanced things that they were doing. And there's a lot of attention to detail. Like, the attention to details, like I said, I can't give higher praises for the way the animation is. Yeah. It is phenomenal.
It's top notch.
So I opted to listen to the dub. And there was like 4 times I was like, I'm gonna switch to the sub again. Like I'm gonna switch back. I can't take this. And then I would watch it for a few minutes. It's like, nah, like I'm missing too much.
Yeah.
So, dub and then the characters. So all that said, I'm gonna give it a 4.25 out of 5 edamames.
That's a good one. Yeah. It's still correct the top 4. Yeah. So some things I'll touch base on is what's the creator's name? The one that made it.
Katsuhiro Otomo.
Otomo, right? Yeah. Otomo. They had like a whole behind the scenes with him, and it was an English dub. They actually did an English dub of the behind the scenes, and they said some things that he said. Why do you draw all your women ugly? So they told him, and he says right after that, he says, "Oh, I never thought about making them pretty, but if I get more people would like that, I will." And then he goes, "Hey, but Kaori was really hot." That's what he says right after that. Like, he says that, and I just thought it was so funny that was the theme, because like they draw the characters like the girls, like the guys look all kind of cool and hip, but the girls are not amazing looking.
Yeah, I guess now that you're thinking about as far as like the character design, apart from like Tetsuo and Kaneda, I couldn't tell who the hell is who.
Oh, it was hard. Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, honestly, I couldn't even tell like Kaneda and Kei.
Yeah.
But so that was something that he said that was really important. Again, like that, it was just kind of funny that he said that.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that when you're talking about the characters.
That is pretty funny.
All right. Yeah, let's get into other people's reviews. See what other people say.
Right.
There's no way anyone rated this a low rating.
Let me do a low one first.
Go ahead.
All right. So this one, this review is written by Donald Dude. He gives Akira a 2 out of 10.
Wow.
Only 1 edamame out of 5.
Yep. That's how math works.
Easily the worst anime I've ever seen. This was the game changer? Really? Wow. I can't believe that a movie with such poor writing is considered one of the all-time greats. The anime that brought the medium to the West. It's 2 hours long, but it's worse than Geno Cyber in terms of character development and explanation. I felt helpless as the plot unfolded, each point more out of damn nowhere than the last. Things only happen because a hero wants them to. Who cares about logic? As if there's a reward for interpreting this cryptic writing, the characters are awful. Most of the cast has no personality beyond their role, biker, colonel, scientist, or politician. The 2 lone exceptions are Tetsuo and Kaneda. Tetsuo apparently has a huge inferiority complex that makes him homicidal immediately. We barely see him struggle, but we hear him bitch and moan and complain throughout. Kaneda is just a dumbass, rude, violent, and annoying. No backstory. Instead of creating a strong relationship between these two, all we get is bike chase scenes and them yelling each other's name. The saddest part, honestly, is the animation is among the best out there. The level of detail on such grandiose city is astounding. The animation is smooth. It overall conveys the dark tone. The weird moans and yells of the soundtrack also strangely work for it too. It's wasted though. This is one of the worst written films I've ever seen. Akira cares far more about fast bikes and bloody deaths than character development. Not one character resonated with me. I hate this movie.
Ooh. He's not wrong on some points.
Yeah.
But you got to think, like, when you're laying the foundation for what a good film is, this was the one that laid the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So of course it's going to be challenged.
Yeah.
And I do think that that's what he's getting at. It's like no one's done this before.
He's too used to writing or reading stories or watching movies that have been written 25 years later. You know, they've already worked out these small kinks that he already is complaining about.
He was right about the inferiority complex though,
Yeah.
which is a very common theme now. So he also, I think, really the issue is he couldn't self-insert on this one.
Couldn't self-insert? Yeah, it
Yeah.
does sound like a
And,
issue for him.
and that could be frustrating for anime fans. Like that's why some of the animes I don't like Hikari or he what's that volleyball one? I can't self-insert. I'm not a volleyball player. But like the idea is that like if you can't self-insert with the characters, then why is it relevant to you?
Yeah.
So that was a good one. You got a good review? I bet you there's hundreds, right?
Yeah.
It has to be hundreds.
It took me a while to find one that wasn't several pages long. This one's pretty succinct. This one's written by Prod74. Great animation film. He gives it an 8 out of 10 or 4 out of 5 edamames. I recently watched Akira, though I have heard a lot about it, and I must say I am impressed. So much so that I bought the DVD. This is, beyond any doubt, one of the best animated films in existence. Visually impressive, solid direction, with a compelling story, if a little complicated, and just the right amount of character development. Good and a very appropriate soundtrack, and an extensively detailed new Tokyo. Akira manages to be as groundbreaking as it was when it was first released. Its only drawback is that most people, including me, will probably have to watch it again and again, and maybe again, to completely understand the full story. Highly recommend it. I give it an 8 out of 10.
It's not a bad thing to have to rewatch an anime.
I agree.
That's part of what it's like a game, right? Like
Yeah.
what's the play like the replayability? What's the rewatchability on anime? It shows that it has depth and it requires a rewatch.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we put Serial Experiment Lane at one of our top horror anime,
Yeah.
and that required multiple rewatches.
Yeah. I rewatched several of the episodes, like 3 times even.
Yeah, it's and that makes it more enjoyable. Now, I guess if an anime needs elaboration, I think it's pretty good.
Yeah. I think people that don't want to rewatch it, they're not consuming media to like, they're doing it to be entertained, but they want that like easy entertainment. They might as well be watching like reality TV or something. Like, oh, what, I got to rewatch the 3rd episode of, you know,
Housewives. Of
yeah,
freaking...
my 100 Desperate Housewives or whatever it is on the island. I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, I'm thinking it's like this. Probably when people say like rewatchability, like I have to rewatch it. You know, what anime you don't have to rewatch? My Hero.
See, I don't watch My Hero.
You don't have to rewatch Demon Slayer. You don't have to rewatch some of these anime that are very mainstream because the story is not so in depth.
Yeah.
So really, when you're watching an anime that's in depth like this that requires a rewatch, that's the problem. A lot of people, they just want that quick dopamine, everything, and where it's sequential throughout. You know, it's a story, gets superpowers, goes on, and it becomes a Hashira, goes on about it. But really, at the end of the day, it's like if an anime has rewatchability, it has depth to it. And I think that's what that's what it sounds like he's getting at.
Yeah.
I bet you I can pick this guy's top 3 anime right now. It's probably My Hero, Demon Slayer, and then it's probably, what's another mainstream one? Jujutsu Kaisen.
I was gonna say JoJo's.
I was gonna say JoJo's too. I feel like that one has depth. Yeah, I think JoJo has depth.
I like JoJo's.
So that's what I'm gonna say about this guy. Now I'm not shitting on him any means. I mean, those are all great anime. I like all 3 of those. Yeah. But
there's nothing wrong with enjoying anime like that.
Yeah.
But I think the rewatchability says that says something about the journey. You know, there's definitely a journey watching this.
Yeah,
this
and
movie.
Also different like watching a film or watching anything. If it has rewatchability, you get to catch new things on it that you didn't catch the first time.
Yeah.
So,
like this is definitely a movie.
Yeah.
That I would be like, oh, bro, you've never seen Akira? Like, you down to watch it? Like, I'd be perfectly okay sitting down and watching it.
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those type of movies. Like, if someone was like, I've never seen I don't know, My Hero, and they're like, oh, you want to check it out? You know, would you really want to sit down and watch the first 6 episodes of it again just for the sake of it?
No, I wouldn't. But I would definitely rewatch Akira again to like just see what I'm missing out on. Yeah. And also, it's kind of fun to rewatch an anime, like especially like you and I, if we rewatch it, like we get to see it and like point out the things that we missed out.
Yeah. This is also one of those movies that like you can watch it just to see the reaction of the other person. Like, we know we've all done this where your favorite show or your TV, you'll sit down and watch it just because you want to see how the other person reacts to it.
Yeah.
You know, this is definitely one of those.
I agree. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. All right. So we gave our reviews. We gave other people reviews. We talked about the anime without giving it too many spoilers. I don't think we gave any at all. But let's jump into this. And we're just really gonna make a discussion. I mean, if we go into some of the things, I really want to first start off before we get into themes and things like that. What do you think people took from this anime? Like, which shows? I got a couple of them.
Of what shows?
Yeah.
Okay, I mean, this is gonna be easy. You
Go
know, it reminded me of Elfenlight a little bit.
The escape scene.
Yeah, the escape scene.
Yep, I agree.
The way he like blew up the guards is exactly like that.
Oh,
Like,
spoiler alert section, guys.
oh, this is spoiler alert
Yeah,
section.
spoiler
yes.
section. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
You go watch the movie.
Yeah, go watch the movie. Go watch the movie, then come back and then listen to spoil it again. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I agree. Yeah, I agree. So yeah, Elfenlied had a lot of. It looked like it took some stuff from it.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree. The escape scene was like really just watching body just get exploded off and him walking out. That I
just
agree.
walking down the hallway. Yeah, very similar vibes.
Yeah, super similar.
Just the way he was like destroying the buildings and stuff like that.
Yeah, the slide that Akira or not Akira, that Kaneda does.
The Akira slide, I believe is what it's called.
I mean, it might. I don't know if it's called that. I mean, it should be, but like it has so many. It's in so many medias. It's in Player Ready 1.
Yeah.
It's in Player Ready 1, the book and the movie.
While I was reading about this, I actually came across all the homages from
I'm
almost positive.
Get into some because that's the one that's I think there's a slide right there. Yeah, so
the
Akira slide. Yeah, okay, it is called the Akira slide.
Yeah,
which it was on Teen Titans as well.
Yeah, Teen Titans was one.
Yeah.
Okay, so it refers to the scene where Kaneda slides into view with his motorcycle, like iconic. Like it's got a picture right here on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
I guess I'll read some of the older ones first. Batman the Animated Series.
Yep.
Gargoyles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Oh, yeah.
Super Robot Monkey Team Hyperforce Go.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah, Teen Titans. Gurren Lagann. You know, I've seen Gurren Lagann. I'm curious on what episode that's in. Lupin the Third versus Detective Conan. Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. It's in there. Durarara, I guess. Adventure Time. Ready Player One. Marvel's Spider-Man. Steven Universe movie and a whole bunch of others.
Yeah.
It keeps going on.
Yeah. So and again they did that and it translated. It wasn't even to me like if I didn't know that it was that culturally relevant, I wouldn't even notice it.
Yeah.
But the fact that we know that see that slide all the time and made it like that. Okay. Yeah.
Remember I was telling you whenever we were talking about it for the first time, I was like, you know, they do that in like some Indian movies too. It's in Bollywood. I've seen the.
Oh yeah, you did tell me something.
They except it's a horse instead of a motorcycle.
That one. What are the ones you got? There's a couple I got.
It reminded me a lot of The Matrix too. I was getting Matrix vibes off of it.
Like the scene where he's like dodging. He's not dodging bullets, but like he's like not. He's like holding his hand out and going around him. Yeah. And yeah, I could see some of that.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Elfenlied as well. That one, you're right on that one. That was one of the ones I had. Another one that they really did cover is, have you ever seen Chronicle?
I have not seen Chronicle.
Chronicle is the same movie as Akira, identical, except the weird amalgamation of like transhumanism. Okay. But like everything that Tetsuo is going through, the character, same character, same what did they call it? Inferior complex. Yeah, inferior complex. Yeah. Everything he's going through. He gains psychic abilities. He has a battle with his best friend. You know, all of it. It's like it's like the same movie, in my opinion. And it really is like where would they get that from? Yeah. They got it from here. And I'm curious. This idea of having someone weak, feeble, not strong, not well-minded, gains abilities to be better, stronger, faster, and becomes just like apex predator. That is a theme in a lot of movies and anime.
Yeah.
So that's where I got. That was one of the ones I saw. You got another one?
Shoot, I had one, and then
I was talking and I ruined it. Yeah. So that one, the slide, of course. We're about to jump into the themes too, because I got some heavy themes I want to talk about too, and but we do see a lot of there is a lot of they said that there was a tie into Neon Genesis Evangelion.
That's what I was gonna say, Neon Genesis.
But I don't know. I don't remember where I saw it at. I don't know if I can't picture it.
It was kind of more like the instrumentality aspect of it, like at the very end of the movie.
Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Yeah. I was also thinking like, I mean, these are kids, and in Neon Genesis they're kids as well, but I don't think they're actually kids. I think they're of adult age, which I have some funny things that I want to bring up about that. All right, yeah. So there's a lot of cultural
Yeah,
relevance.
it also reminded me a little bit of Cowboy Bebop on some of the action scenes,
Oh,
like just the way it was going, like kind of how like brutal it was.
Yeah.
Like Cowboy Bebop has some like good fist fighting scenes, so it's kind of
Yeah, and this is in 1988.
yeah.
Yeah, and again, this laid the ground floor for a lot of themes I really like. So the cultural relevance is there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Can we talk about some of these themes? What themes did you see? I'll bring up. I'll bring up one. The division of the bourgeois and the proletariat.
Yeah, that was a heavy theme on
Yeah.
it, especially with like the all the protesters, going,
Yeah.
trying to gain the upper hand and whatnot, and the protests against the police.
Yeah. Well, you saw like the one of the opening chase scenes. There's like all this chaos going outside, and they're in front of like a very fancy restaurant. And inside the restaurant, there's these couple eating and drinking wine, and it's very
Yeah.
luxurious. And that's where like the very beginning hint of that is where I saw it. Like that whole division of like wealth was there. So that one was the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
I'm gonna go back.
Go ahead.
I remember one.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what it reminded me of?
ahead.
This is going back to themes that the movie might have influenced.
Okay.
Um, although I think the Deer Hunter came out before Akira, but it was reminding me of Deer Hunter, like the very opening title scene, where it's like it's just completely silent, and then it's just like Akira and like bright red letters, like bold, like it just says Akira. If you've ever seen the Deer Hunter, which I've seen it
Yeah, we've seen the Deer Hunter.
that's how almost exactly how the Deer Hunter starts. It's got
Yeah.
like some weird like just silence with the moving camera, and there's just the Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
Like,
With Robert De Niro, right?
Yeah, Robert De Niro,
Okay, yeah, we saw it. Yeah, that was a good movie.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and I bet you, and that one sparked a lot of things too. But
Yeah.
we'll get into that. But yeah, okay, yeah, and that's I do think that was I think that came out before though.
It did.
I think it came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
Or really early 80s.
Although I wrote that down, so I felt it was relevant.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's both of them really relevant. I mean, you got to
Mhm.
think about this was made in Japan, so they could also take some things
Yeah,
from
yeah.
Americanized film, but again, most of the things are being taken from them.
Yeah.
So that theme, though, proletariat, bourgeois, and then we get into this idea of I keep fucking it up.
Inferiority complex.
The inferiority complex, where like you'll never be strong enough, and then you gain this power, and immediately, within minutes of getting this power, you become an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a well-known theme. You know where else that came from? Fucking Spider-Man. Remember when Tobey Maguire gets powers and he's fighting Flash or or whatever, and then he's like he's a jerk about it. Like, and that's kind of a common theme. It's like when you get these superpowers and you're like you transform into like non-human abilities.
Yeah.
You gain this like you feel like everyone's against you.
It's like a god complex. Like
Yeah, that's something. Yeah, I'm like I run this.
Yeah.
So that's another one. Now I do like what you said about the rioters and protests. And in those rioters, did you catch some cult?
Yeah, there was some cult vibes going on. It was like the cult of Akira too, right?
Yeah, so it's like some people are aware of Akira, the cult of Akira. Basically, it doesn't say that there, but they're chanting Akira. And I mean, I guess we can kind of talk about the first minute of the film. It starts off. It's in 1988.
1988. Yeah, basically some bombs go off. Destroys Tokyo, and then it's 31 years later, and it's New Tokyo.
Yeah, or Neo Tokyo.
Neo Tokyo.
Yeah, Neo Tokyo, which is a very common theme. Like Neo Tokyo is very common across all medias. I don't know why it is, but I've seen it everywhere. There's like music from Neo Tokyo, like there's like genres for that. And to me, it's like Neo Tokyo obviously it's kind of like cyberpunk for American.
Yeah.
So we do get this Neo Tokyo, but also you can see themes amongst the individual cast, like the individual people. Like there is like obviously like a poor rich dynamic, but there's also like a chaos dynamic with like the biker gangs.
Yeah, there's like a very chaotic element. Like they don't really have a control on the city.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like the biker gangs are doing what they want, and the police have to respond to them, kind of thing.
Yeah. That's a big theme where there's no real control. And it gave me like Warrior vibes. You seen Warriors? The Warriors, where all the gangs run the town and they're against the cops. Anyways, that's what I'm getting from this. And it's really like they control the streets, and it's really bikers versus bikers.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the bikers in a bit. The last one I'll bring up is the drug, the like a drug abuse type thing.
Yeah, I mean they have there's like a few versions of it. Like there's one where the drug abuse is like to stop their like symptoms, right?
Yeah.
Like the Tetsuo's like gaining powers or whatever, and they're like all using like suppressant drugs
Yeah,
for the
it's
powers.
like limiting them.
Yeah, and then there's the opposite side where all the bikers are, and they're just like basically smoking crack.
Wherever the Neo Tokyo crack is.
Yeah.
But they also hinted at, and it's Tetsuo says it, is that drug that limits them is the drug that those kids, the old kids, are taking. That's why they look like shit.
Oh.
So that's not why he didn't take it, but that's one of the things that limits them as well.
Yeah.
So that's what happens with them. But yeah, that's the last one I wanted to get into. You got any other ones? I know you're gonna think of it while we go. If you do, just bring it up.
Yeah. Man, see, I had one, but I always get fucking sidetracked.
Yeah, because we get these deep conversations.
Yeah. Heavy theme.
Yeah, heavy themes, which is really kind of funny because Perfect Blue had a lot of heavy themes too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I guess, these old anime that are in like the 80s and 90s just really spark.
Yeah, well, and this one's actually a really common theme is the idea of like evolving humanity is there, like humanity transforming into something else. Like the scientist like wants to do it because he wants to see it. I guess like that's his motivation for doing the experimentation, and then like the military colonel dude is doing it from a pure pragmatic stance of like advancing humanity so that humanity can get to the next stage of evolution.
I'm glad you brought that up because there is a lot of films that follow this idea of where like experimentation on like someone that's gifted.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was sparked by this, but like you think about like Iron Giant, like movies that like were like E.T. Even I think E.T. came out before, but like you think about these movies that were being different leads you to being experimented on.
Yeah,
and leads you in these uncomfortable positions.
X-Men's a really popular one.
Yeah, X-Men and all those. Yeah,
there's actually you're making me think. There's a 1800s philosopher called I might butcher his name, Friedrich Nietzsche.
Yeah,
I forget how people do it, right?
Yeah.
So he has a few books. I actually took a high level philosophy course. No bragging. Anyways, he has this idea of like the Ubermensch, right? It's like the superhuman, right? There's one day going to be what is so like human, like so like whenever apes evolved into man, right? Like the jump from an ape to a man, right? There's going to be something in the future that's going to be the Ubermensch, the superhuman, that makes modern day humans like me and you look like a chimp, right? Evolutionarily, if that makes sense. So there's going to be one moment, there's going to be the Ubermensch, he's going to appear, the one single version of it, and then all of humanity will evolve with it. Like that idea is really old as far as I'm concerned, philosophy wise. So.
No, yeah, I've heard about that. Not those terms, but I heard about like, like this idea of like we were the ones that are running supreme now, but what was before us, and they do touch base on that as well.
And then if humanity was to evolve, give humanity 100,000 years from now, 1,000,000 years from now, what would the advance, the next step of human evolution look like? Yeah,
and they actually touch on that with Tetsuo, but like him getting psychic abilities, like that would be the next human evolution, maybe in this idea, or in this film. That's the next evolution.
Yeah, and they're going for it. Like they have the research, they're trying to advance it, and you'll see that as a common theme and trope in a lot of anime. You
also see the idea of the scientist. Well, the whole world is going to shit. The scientist does like find his discovery. He's looking for the whole time. He finds it, and he's like super excited about it. And that's also a common thing. It's like you ultimate goal. It doesn't matter the world's ending, but you did what you wanted to do. Like you actually got to the point of where you solved the problem or you figured it out, and that was your ultimate goal in life. Now everything that around you doesn't matter anymore. There's also elements of sacrifice in this, and a lot of elements of like this amalgamation of a creature that's like uncontrollable power. Yeah, there's that as well.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the idea that when you feed a fire, it eventually gets out of control and just consumes everything.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's jump in a little bit of some of these scenes. I like the beginning scene. The beginning scene is simple as hell, dude. It's so simple. It's them. It actually has an iconic first scene. It's like the guy after the explosion. It's the guy sitting like walking downstairs, and he flicks the cigarette bud, and he walks down to the bar, and they talk about the rival gang. Did you get the name of that rival gang?
I didn't.
the clowns, the jokers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That's like the rival biker gang, and they find out that they're out and about. And what do?
Decided to go fuck them up.
They started to go fuck them up.
Yeah.
It's so simple, right?
Yeah.
It starts off as a simple theme. So they go out there to like whoop these guys' asses, and yeah, that's
This is the action scene that has the iconic Akira slide in it, like right in the first like 5 minutes of the movie.
see that's iconic.
Yeah.
But I also think what should be iconic is that damn kick.
Yeah.
That kick is pretty
Oh no,
dope.
dude, that action scene was dope.
Yeah, it was a good. He's hitting them with pipes.
Yeah.
He's like climbing the throwing them off bikes.
Yeah.
They obviously have like they're against each other, but they're also against the cops as well.
Yeah. And then it goes into this like weird next scene where like they get scared off by the cops and it's like following like one of the guys like running away or he's injured. I forget what it is. Like he's got like he's got that little the
elderly baby. Yeah, he has one of
babies.
what they call the Esmers. I don't know their name, and we don't give a shit.
Espers, yeah.
He has one of the Esmers, and he's like walking away. He's injured, and they're chasing him, and that little elderly baby gets away.
Yeah, it's the Esper.
Yeah.
What I was actually really surprised about that scene, which they would not do nowadays, is the police are like chasing him, right? And he's got a gun, and there's dogs chasing him. And he straight up like murders the dogs.
He does.
Yeah.
You're right. I forgot. You're right. He does shoot the fucking dogs.
Yeah. I was like, they wouldn't do that nowadays.
Yeah, they can't do that nowadays.
Yeah.
You can't kill dogs on movies.
Yeah. And then he's like, of course he gets his comeuppance, and they basically like firing squad him while he's like on the ground, all like bleeding and helpless.
What's funny is like he has this baby, this child, and they're shooting it like they already shot like so many rounds, and he's like, he has a child, and then the elderly child skedaddles out of there.
Yeah, the dude looks like a Lurch from Addams Family, like shrunken down to 3 feet.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And while they're getting away, of course, Akira's little gang, they actually Tetsuo actually runs into him.
Yeah, he like runs into him with his bike. Like he's still. I want to say Tetsuo is still chasing after the other bikers that got away.
Yeah,
and like the little alien elder baby.
Yeah. He basically just like shatters his whole bike and he's like injured, like seriously injured.
Yeah, he like stops it with force. Like basically, it's like he runs into a brick wall.
Yeah, it was pretty dope. I like the scene, and of course, the whole Akira gang shows up, and then the military steps in. And I really like this part because they actually take away Tetsuo. Is it Tetsuo?
Tetsuo, yeah.
They take away Tetsuo, but Akira's whole gang gets arrested and goes to like regular jail, which is really funny because it's like they're like being booked, but they're like in a room. So it's like a cop in a room full of criminals.
Yeah.
But he's just like reading the charges and shit. But there's a funny scene. It's where Akira's smiling, or not Akira, sorry, Kaneda's smiling, and that smile is like printed on like a lot of pictures, like it's his mugshot. He's like,
yeah.
And I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, it was a pretty cool scene. I thought it was funny, like they're like basically giving the officer shit, and he's like getting tired of it, so he's like, "All right, you're all free to go."
He's like reading the book. And he's like, "You can't read this; it's private." And then we get kind of a weird like attempted suicide scene with one of the guys with a grenade, which is kind of funny. He pulls a grenade pin, and everyone runs, and it's a dud.
Yeah.
But it introduced a character that's going to be kind of important, in my opinion, which was K.
Okay.
And this is like Kaneda's dick talking. He's like, you guys get out of here, go to school. And Kaneda's like, she was with us the whole time. Yeah. And he uses that to drop game on her. The worst riz ever.
It doesn't work.
Does not work.
The entire movie, it doesn't work.
He does not work. He has no riz against K. K don't give a fuck about him. But like, it's funny because it keeps referring back to him, even though all this shit's happening. Kaneda keeps referring back to him, like, who's that, your boyfriend? Like, he's always like constantly like bringing it back up. But yeah, so we get that scene, and then and they get sent back to school. But you know what school they go to, right?
It's like a school for delinquents or some shit.
No, that's what I thought. It's a trade school.
It's a trade.
They go to like a vocational school, and I was thinking I was gonna pick your brain on this. It's like you think like 30 years after a huge, massive distinction of like a nation.
Yeah.
Do you think like we would revolt back to like the things that we need, like trades? Like we would have to have like a lot of trade schools open to like rebuild society.
I mean, yeah, but the cities are like already built.
Yeah, but like you would need Like they're in like motorcycle. They're like in like an automation class.
Yeah, I didn't really catch what they were going to school with.
Yeah, it's like, but it's funny because like they're like looking at a motor and like everyone's just talking and shit. No one gives a fuck about the teacher.
Oh yeah. See, I was just kind of skip through all that. I didn't know what the teacher was talking about. Yeah, nobody gives a fuck.
Nobody gives a fuck.
Except whenever the teacher's like not there, and then they're like, "Hey, where's my education?"
Yeah, yeah, they run that shit back.
Yeah.
So they get out of their school and they're talking about Tetsuo, and of course they're walking. And Kanade actually has like a little girlfriend on him.
Yeah, again, she's not important.
Not important at all. He's like, "Get off me," whatever. And then they go on their way, and then we get to see Tetsuo kind of going through the shit. Right? I'm not really skipping around, but I'm just like, it's this escape scene that we're getting into that you were mentioning earlier about being tied into Elfen Lied.
Yeah, I don't know if that's that far into this yet. It might be.
What do you got?
I got kind of gets a date, right, with K.
Okay.
Tetsuo, he's like having those dreams with Akira at this point. Like he's still inside like the insane asylum.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And he's like having like these fever dreams, and he keeps like waking up and like drinking the water and then throwing like stuff off his bed, right? And then it's like it pans down and it's like a basketball, like a hockey stick, and like a bear. Like the one he throws off the bed is like a bear, right? And then like he's chugging the water, and then like he's falling back asleep, and it kind of, to me, it alludes that they're drugging him. They're giving him these drugs.
Oh yeah.
Right.
So what'd you think about that bear? Did it remind you of anything?
Yeah, it appeared later. As far as the bear itself, I don't really know, but it appeared later as a theme.
But did it remind you of any character we saw in anime that we watch on this show?
On the show, anime watched on the show. I was about to say is the bear from that Annie has in League of Legends, but I don't know.
I was in a Afro Samurai. Jin.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know if it's homage to that.
Yeah, no,
but
I can see that.
Yeah, but the bear. And that's what somebody mentioned that, and I was thinking, maybe.
Yeah.
It is like purplish, so.
Yeah, no, I didn't think about that. Although you're right. He was pretty present. Although maybe League of Legends Annie's little bear is a reference.
Also, yeah. So, can we get into this dope escape scene?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Yeah. So he's like groaning, right? He actually does like leave the room, and they're like, "You can't leave. Get back in there. You can't leave." And they're like pressing him, right? Mm-hmm. And then everyone explodes.
Yeah, that was the best part.
Yeah,
like
he awesome.
escapes. Yeah, they're like, hey, you can't leave. Like it's like the doctor and like two guards, and yeah, they just turn into mist.
Yeah, they're just blood everywhere. It's like Metal Gear Solid, it's like blood all over the walls. And yeah, he escapes. And guess who he goes see first? And I don't know if you like this character. I kind of liked her. Kaori.
Do I like her as a character? No.
Oh, I loved Kaori, dude. She was one of my favorite characters because I feel like she was like the voice of reason to Tetsuo.
Yeah.
And she played a pivotal role because she was always kind of like, it's kind of like the person that's super nice, like the nerd, and like the dorks or whatever, like the outcast.
She's like the only one who cared about him.
Yeah, and she actually genuinely liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there is a scene we didn't talk about, but I'll talk about that when we get into it. But what are the he goes and meets with her, and like he's like, let's get out of here, let's leave, and and they take Kanade's bike. But the reason this is important is because it dies on him, and it's hinted.
Is this why this is right before he runs into the little kid, right? That's why he's following him, because the scene you're about to talk about. So yeah, I don't know. That might have been why he ran into the kid. Because I'm trying to think. Because when he runs into the kid after that, he's like in the hospital and shit.
Yeah, and then he escapes.
Yeah,
and then he goes back and he takes Kanade's
bike. Okay, you're right. Okay,
but Kanade's bike doesn't work for him.
You're right. Okay,
and he mentions that Kanade's like, you can't handle this. I like souped it up myself. You wouldn't be able to handle it. Like blah blah blah. Like only I can handle it. And while he's running around, we actually get this scene where the Jokers come out and kind of like rough him up a bit, and we get this like super edgy scene.
It's pretty fucking edgy.
Basically, he gets his ass kicked, and while he's Kaori gets pulled off the bike, gets her top ripped off, and then gets socked in the face.
Yeah, and then they start just beating the shit out of her. Like she's topless, no shirt on because they ripped it off.
Yeah, she's getting her ass beat.
So, and like it's brutal.
Yeah,
it's brutal.
Yeah, and then we get to see Kanade to the rescue. Kanade was like a repeated hero
Yeah.
throughout.
See, and that was Kanade rescuing Tetsuo was the reason why like he had that animosity, his little man syndrome.
Yes, yeah, like he aided the idea that like Kanade was the hero, was the big shot, but I never get to shine, but you do, you know.
Yeah.
I agree. So he goes, they fight, they win, they beat the shit out of him, and then we get like an iconic scene where like a hint of Tatsuo's like anger, where he's basically like uncontrollably beating up one of the Jokers, to where they had to pull him off, like you're gonna kill him. And then we get another character that you thought wasn't important, but I think it was Kono Shikishima. They come up in these dope ass Black Hawk helicopters, whatever. What's the helicopter with the two spinning blades like across?
It's like a Chinook.
Yeah, that one. And they pull up and but he's the drugs. He's like freaking out.
Yeah.
And there's a really cool scene where like his intestines come out, and Tetsuo is like hallucinating, but he starts pulling his intestines back into his body. But then it cuts to a frame where there's nothing happening. He's just like pulling in nothing.
Yeah.
But you know what he's doing. And I thought that was really cool. I thought it was a really good scene.
This is when you start to get like the psychological element of this, which is like a pretty heavy theme in the second half of the movie. And this is like kind of starting with you like literally like you're kind of just like, what the fuck is happening? Like, because he's like hallucinating and going crazy. But yeah, so what did, like they basically like decide to take Tetsuo back, right? Like these Black Hawks, and then like what'd you say his name was, the important character, like looks at Kaneda and is just like, I don't care about that dude, right?
Colonel Shikishimi?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they got taken too.
I don't think he takes him with Tetsuo.
They take him and Kei breaks him out.
Is it?
Yeah, I believe so. I think Kei breaks him out of that. They take all of them. And Kei breaks him out. Now it's gonna get a little iffy for me. Even though I've watched it twice and I've listened to a lot of things about it. It starts getting a little out there. So we're gonna probably jump around a bit here.
Okay, so the scene you're talking about where Kei helps him break out, that's when Kei shoots and murders a cop, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So she's like part of the resistance the entire time, and I think it was hinted that she was there for that reason. She's part of the resistance. She does kill a cop, and then Kanade, of course, using his riz, is like, I don't care if you killed someone. Like, I'll wait for you. We can get a drink after you're done.
Yeah.
Like, it's like she's gonna go to prison for life. She murdered a cop.
She's like got PTSD like in the instant that she just shot this dude in the face.
Yeah. And they go in and then they introduce kind of the resistance, and that's where we get like Kei's like not boyfriend, and of course Kanade's like, is that your boyfriend?
Yeah.
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 I don't want to skip too far ahead, but I do think there is a scene coming up where
which ones are number 25 and which one's number 28?
And what?
They call them number 25 and number 28. Number 28 is Akira.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like the experimental children. Is number 25? There's a little girl.
Oh, okay.
She's the one that can see the future.
Coyote, I think her name is.
I don't know what her name is.
No, okay.
Infirmed, bedridden girl that can see the future.
Yeah.
Should be her name.
Well, she also can transport her memories and like.
Yeah.
She has the ability to control your voice. She does that a lot of times with Kei.
Yeah, isn't she like help Kei escape, or that's when they break into it? I can't remember.
Yeah. So this is where it gets kind of where they actually will break out of this jail and trying to say Tetsuo, but they actually get away and they actually overhear Kei and Kanade try to help Tetsuo.
Yeah.
And so basically, when they do get locked up, because they do get locked up, and that scene where Tetsuo like dips out completely, just flies away, right? Has magic powers, or it disappears or whatever. He's not in the area no more. They actually go to get arrested and they're in a cell. And this is one of the important scenes in the manga, but not necessarily in the actual movie. The scene is Kei is trying to explain to Kanade what's happening. So she uses this idea like, well, we were apes before, we were monkeys. Yeah, we were like, tadpoles, and then we were amoebas.
This is the second time that that the precog uses it on her. The first time is like they relay her to get inside the prison, and now it's like you're right, they got captured. Yeah. They're inside the prison cell. Yeah.
And she's saying all this stuff, and like fucking Kanade is just a dumbass, dude. Motherfucker needs to go to actual school, not trade school. She does not know what's going on. She's like, it's amoeba. You would think like amoeba, all they want to do is to get more power. Like, and it's really like just talking about like being the top of the food chain type deal. And the whole time, of course, it's one of those, what you call them, espers?
Yeah.
One of the espers like conveying this message to Kanade, which to me was like a waste of their time. Like Kanade has no fucking idea what's going on.
You know what I found funny about that scene? It was probably just me, but like whenever they zoom in on Kay's face, she's got like purple like fucking eyeshadow. It's like,
Oh.
damn, I didn't even know she was ever wearing that. And then, but it only happens whenever the Esper's like talking through her.
Oh, I didn't
like,
even catch that.
Yeah, she's got like it's like literally a little purple line on like the
I
corner
thought it
of
was
her
like
eyes.
shadowing. They do really weird things with the animation of shadowing.
Yeah.
So like I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, so they of course break out of jail, and while this is happening, Tetsuo does leave, and he goes back to that bar he was at the beginning,
Yeah.
and he asks for drugs.
That's Tetsuo. Yeah, he's at the bar. He wants drugs.
He wants drugs, of course. Like, I don't know, man. Like I don't want to give you drugs, you know. And they end up giving him drugs, of course.
Yeah.
And he ends up murdering the bartender
just for no reason.
Yeah,
like
for no
the barkeeper was gonna help him.
Yeah. He murders him, and he murders somebody else.
Well, so he murders the barkeep, right? And then I don't know their names. Two dudes from Kaneda and Tetsuo's biker gang. Like that's their bar, like the home bar that they go to. They come in and see that the bartender's dead. Like someone killed him, right? And then there's Tetsuo like chilling in the corner.
Like up top, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just like menacing.
Yeah.
And we start hearing that music happen when he appears on scene. So that happens, and we get this interesting scene with Kanade now, finding out that his like bartender friend is dead, and one of the biker guys is dead too. Right? Some of the biker guys are dead.
Yeah, well, he kills one of them.
Yeah,
so
one
like,
of them.
there's two of them shows up, confront him about the bartender, and he murders the other one.
This scene's kind of not iconic, but it's kind of important.
Yamagata was his name. I wrote out.
Yamagata.
Yeah, kills that dude.
Yeah, so he's the one that's dead.
Yeah, you know. So I'm gonna back up real quick. I think I said reminds me of Dragon Ball Z. It says there's a power up scene face off. Do you remember that one? I guess I think I slightly remember it. Tetsuo's like screaming, like powering up. I don't know what he was doing though.
Yeah, it happens like a couple times.
And then I write Tetsuo's kind of an asshole. So
I called it.
Yeah.
Kind of an asshole.
Yeah, and then after that scene, then he goes to the bar and kills some people.
Yeah, the scene I'm getting at is that one of his biker friends goes and he ends up taking the biker's bike and driving into a wall and exploding it
on purpose.
Yeah, on purpose.
Yes.
It's like a biker's death or whatever. This is what he would want for me. So he does that. I thought that was kind of nice. It was kind of,
that was a cool.
He risked his whole life to to do that. So that was kind of cool. All right, now it gets even weirder now.
This is the point in the anime where like Tetsuo's basically gone from little man syndrome to like god complex. Like he realizes like this is like where he's like flying around and teleporting and he can do whatever the fuck he wants, right? And what is the first thing he does? He fucking like takes off some cape or something. I can't remember, and like drapes it around himself, and he looks like fucking like Superman. Caesar. I said Caesar. I was thinking like Caesar from Rome.
Oh,
Superman. I mean, yeah, I could say Superman, but
yeah.
Would you rather be Julius Caesar or Superman?
Superman. I don't know what.
I'd rather be Julius Caesar.
Yeah, no argument, right, fam? No argument there. Superman, 100%. So yeah, but I like that. He looked cool. He looked bad. Yeah, I didn't like his look the entire time until then.
He was definitely menacing looking.
When his hair got slicked back and stuff like that, and it just causing trouble to like the military. It's going around fucking shit up, blowing things up. Is this where we get into Akira, or is that later?
I mean, Akira is slightly mentioned, like a little bit.
So the whole time, and this is why it should be called Kanade. It should not be called Akira or Tetsuo. It should be called those names, not Akira, because Akira appeared. Apparently, Akira is this like entity that lived once upon a time. That actually it was like ultimate being.
Yeah. And
he was such an ultimate being that he caused World War III. He caused that huge.
Yeah.
explosion.
They go into like this weird thing. It's like in a real philosophical kind of sense of it too. Like he wasn't like directly responsible. Like he like manipulated. It's like more like a omnipresence kind of thing.
Yeah.
To like start World War III.
Yeah, so that's Akira. That's what Akira is.
Yeah.
Like he was the one that caused that huge explosion. That was Akira doing that, and that comes back later. But so now that Akira, they're mentioning Akira, he's like looking for Akira. He's like searching for Akira. Yeah. Tetsuo wants to find Akira. I don't know why.
He's like going like place to place to like find clues. Like he first goes into like the little Esper babies.
Yeah.
And like beats him up. He's like about to kill him. and then like the director colonel shows up. And I actually really like the director colonel. I think he's like one of the more solid characters.
Yeah, he has more power than I think he should have.
Yeah, yeah. He's also like he's a bulwark of just fucking like ideology.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's there to get a job done, and that's what he's gonna do. Like damned be all. So he's like there to like it's kind of weird because he like cares about the little babies, I guess.
Yeah, he likes them. Like he wants to protect them.
Yeah, and so he's like trying to convince Akira not to like kill him, and Akira like extracts the information he wants out of him.
Tetsuo.
You're right. Yeah. Tetsuo about Akira.
Yeah.
You know, Tetsuo's looking for Akira, and so he figures out where I guess his vault is.
Yeah.
And so he goes there and is like just ripping up the ground, like ripping up the entire infrastructure, like to get to this vault.
Yeah, and then we get into a weird scene with Kei, which makes no freaking sense. But apparently the manga touches more based on Kei's like newfound abilities. Like she's like now like same.
See, I didn't catch any of this. Yeah. Like honestly, like I see like so like not Akira. Tetsuo comes out of the ground with Akira's vault, like he's like floating it upwards, right? Yeah. And then Kei starts fighting him.
Yeah. Kei even does this cool thing where like there's like smoke dust from the rise of the Akira, and she like summons it all up into a tornado, and you can't see her. And then out of nowhere, she pops it behind him and tries to punch Tetsuo. Like the fight scene's mid because it's short, but it's well watched.
Yeah.
And while this happened, of course, and this is why I absolutely adore Kaneda. I don't know if Kaneda is doing this to protect Kei or not, but like he's like fighting, actually putting up an actual battle.
Yeah.
Like the military can't even do this shit. Kaneda's out there just really actually doing damage.
Yeah, I was wondering how they're gonna make him seem to be able to stand toe to toe, because I was like, oh, okay, Kaneda is gonna show up and fight fucking Tetsuo after he's fucking misted 100+ special forces and then like destroyed tanks and destroyed the city. Like there's even a bunch of scenes where he's like destroying bridges, like he's killing the civilians and he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that bridge scene is also cool because he ends up blowing up the bridge, and the cultist, who was like a big Akira believer, like they obviously fall into that.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. I thought that was they can't. We came back to, I think it was Lady Yamagashi or something. I said her name earlier.
They're part of like the collateral damage, even though they thought that Akira was on their side, like leading, like they're following him, like there's a that has themes as well where like the god you brought back to life kills you. So that was kind of, I guess, a theme, but not that important in my opinion. But yeah, we get this battle, and then Kaneda is actually doing damage. Yeah, yeah.
And then this is where the colonel is like, bring in, I think he calls it sun.
He calls it the soul. I want to say SOL, like soul, like
soul,
Spanish soul.
Soul, and we don't even know what the fuck that is.
Oh, no. There's this actually really great scene I really liked. So whenever Kaneda and Tetsuo are fighting, right, with the beam gun or whatever, Kaneda actually basically kills Tetsuo, but his gun ran out of battery, right? You remember, like, it looks like it shoots him through the heart, and he's like, what? And it ran out of battery and, like, singed his shirt, like, right in the center. Like, okay. I thought that was fucking cool.
I do remember the battery. I didn't realize it didn't go through him.
Yeah, no, it didn't hit him. No, it stopped. It was like, like, he killed him, he had him beat, but the battery of the gun ran out.
Which is funny because, like, you got to think, like, that a military guy didn't charge his gun before going into battle. That guy, they find out who that guy is, like, he's going to prison for it.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
I like that scene.
Yeah, and then right after that was the scene you're talking about.
So he's like, get in soul, give me access soul, and then you see this like great light appear over Tetsuo, and it starts like getting closer, and to me it was like when it was far apart, like it wasn't so hot or so like intense, but as it started condensing, it got super intense, and he started like his arm started to fill it, and that's whenever like released his beam and his arm got taken off.
Yeah. For anyone that's ever played Command and Conquer, basically what they shoot Tetsuo with is the ion cannon.
Never played it. Sounds good though.
It's basically like a satellite laser that they use the sun's energy and blast them with the ray. That's what it is. And yeah, it hits Tetsuo in the arm. It blows his arm off actually.
Yeah.
Like incinerates it.
All right. So of course.
So this all it does is make Tetsuo mad. Like Tetsuo's upset. He just got his arm melted off, and he's basically the god.
Well, they're still fighting though. Kaneda and him are still fighting.
No, because they are fighting, but Kaneda failed to kill him with the gun, and then basically this ion cannon kind of distracts him. What he does afterwards is flies up into space.
Well, isn't there a scene where the soul is Kaneda's in the range of it?
that's I think they're still trying to shoot. Right, they're just like the director colonel gave him coordinates: shoot here, shoot here, shoot. And I think you're right. No, they are still trying to shoot him.
Yeah.
Yes, and then he flies. Yes,
he goes up to space. Yeah. And is this where he? I think this is the part where he gets an arm.
He flies up into space, and actually, I thought this was a really cool scene because the moment he gets up into space, there's no noise. They don't. There's a zero sound on the soundtrack.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
He's destroyed. He blows up like this space station, and then like it's actually fucking great animation. Like they're setting up the scene. Like the government guys are like, okay, like set like these coordinates, like preparing to fire next, and it's just like they lose signal to it, right? Mm-hmm. And they don't really understand why. And then the colonel's like, who's on the ground watching or was watching Tetsuo, can see in the distance the fucking the satellites like burning up into the atmosphere, like he destroyed it and it's falling into Earth.
And I think we can get a little further apart where he's at the stadium now.
Yeah, now he's getting his robot arm or whatever.
Yeah, he's building this robot arm around this recliner, and of course, what's his name? Kiori is already there.
Kiori, yeah.
Yeah, she's like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" And he's like, "I'm fine. Akira's not real." And they do explain Akira at this point, which I think we should talk about really quick.
Yeah, see, I didn't really understand this part of it. Like, he's just like an idea, essentially, right?
No, he's actually a person, but they experimented him on so much that all they have left is like his organs, and like this, like in these like containers.
Yeah, well, you figure that out whenever he first opens up the vault. I even wrote down as like what Akira's a bunch of sperm samples.
Well, I mean, it's funny though. Like he really is like that. Well, he finds out that first, and then he goes, and that's when he says Akira is not real. You know, it was all make believe without. Mm-hmm. And so this is where I feel like it should have slowly ended, but we get kind of a love interest, like kind of like, oh, don't worry, blah blah blah, it's all gonna be okay, and then we get the lash out. You know, Kaori's in danger. And then the colonel, of course, shoots him.
Yeah.
And then he starts forming this amalgamation.
Yeah. It's like, it's at this moment where he's like, basically starts losing control.
And the colonel says, we can fix you. We have drugs to fix you.
Yeah.
And he like rejects him. He's like, I don't want to be one of those elderly kids. Mm-hmm. Which is fine. I agree. I wouldn't want to either. And then he grows into this giant flesh baby.
Yeah, he's essentially like he's going out of control, and yeah, like it's like his robotic arm is like kind of like pinning him to like the. It looks like he's sitting on a throne.
Yeah,
and it's like pinning him to it, like it's melding and becoming part of the throne he's sitting on, and he's like trying to break away from it, and then it starts turning into like flesh.
Yeah, and he's growing this flesh. He starts taking everybody in. He takes Kaori in, and this is the final scene of Kaori.
Which dies. I was surprised. I'm surprised they killed her off like that.
I was either kill her off like this, but also kill off Kaneda, but they didn't do that because they absorbed Kaneda too.
Yeah. Well, see, yeah. Okay, so then Kaneda lives, and I was surprised by that too.
Yeah, it didn't make either one or the other, right?
Yeah,
that was very odd for me. That's not normal. And again, they set the tone, but like I think like why didn't fucking Kaori survive? What the fuck? But while all this has happened, we actually get all the memories of Akira. All the things that like Akira did, and all like growing up, being in the psyche, and like where they grew up at, and it just looks like not a normal place, but it doesn't look like Neo Tokyo. Like they're in a hospital, they're like in front of computers or something, and we get kind of a cool scene of them like growing up. We didn't get that scene prior, but now we know a little more about Akira, and I think that's when they first mentioned that Akira was the reason they exploded, or. That was the first one. I'm sure they mentioned it before, but I remember them bringing that back.
Like I was just kind of confused about Akira as a whole concept, to be honest. This is one of those things that you want to rewatch this show for.
Yeah. Well, the manga I think covers a little more. Yeah. Maybe this is one I might actually read the manga for it. But that'll be the first one.
Get into it?
Yeah, I'll get into that one. But so they start talking about this idea of a place to go, and the very first part is that they explode in 1988, and that's exactly what's about to happen right now. Mm-hmm. And they're about to explode, but we find out that he actually, before the explosion, that Tetsuo creates this, or Akira creates this singularity where he can go, where they can live.
And they basically allude it to being like the Big Bang, right?
Well, I was thinking it was like alluded to be like heaven.
Okay, heaven.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. But the explosion still happens.
yeah.
And then all we're left is a crater. Kanade survive, thanks to one of his biker friends. And Kei survives too.
K survives. Yeah.
Yeah, so both of them survive. And really, I think this is kind of where we can close. There's one more thing I want to mention. I think you might have to say it too. You have anything else? I hit this very last minute of the movie.
Do you think can Kanade were a viable love interest?
No.
No.
I don't think that I don't think that it sounds to me when I see this film, one of the big issues I find is that while Kanade is smitten with Kei,
Mhm.
how smitten are you with a girl that you just met that you're willing to like go so far as like, you know, the apocalyptic
Save her
events?
twice.
Yeah. So to me it was like a lot more than he bargained for. But he kept going for it.
Yeah.
So as far as love interest, I don't think so. I was more interested in Kiori and Tetsuo as a love interest.
That was the more interesting love interest, although I didn't like Tetsuo like at all.
At all. Yeah, I liked him. I didn't like the beginning of him. I don't know the way he looked because he had a big forehead. But later on, I liked him with the cape.
We've talked about this before, where they draw people intentionally ugly that are going to be evil. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think they did that with Tetsuo because
Oh,
I was
yeah.
like, why is this dude got a fucking 5 head? Like literally, like his eyes are like drawn
Yeah,
in
I
the
know,
halfway of his face.
But you're right. You know, in the early early
Mhm.
90s, late 80s, they
Mhm.
drew like the villain, the monster as like grotesque.
Yeah.
So we get this final scene where the explosion happens. Kanade gets away. Kei gets away. The biker from there gets away. And we finally get to a scene where it's like it all like comes down to this last scene. And the last thing that's said is Tetsuo. The very last scene, like right before credits roll, Tetsuo. And I think what happened is that Akira was mentioned throughout the entire film.
Now it's gonna be Tetsuo.
Now it's going to be Tetsuo.
Okay.
That's what I was getting at with that. Yeah, I mean, that's all I have. You got anything else you want to bring up? This anime was intense, dude.
I'm sure I could think of some things.
Yeah, we can keep going on forever on this one, but this anime was intense. There were so many different themes throughout. I mean, I can think multiple themes, but it laid the groundwork for the anime that we love and watch today.
I highly agree with that. This is not arguable to me.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Yeah.
after seeing Akira and seeing like its relevance and influence in anime I've been watching, have seen probably for
Like 20 years.
I was gonna say the next 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. Any anime you've seen probably took something
Yeah.
from it's hard not to
Hmm.
because we've seen it so many times and we didn't even realize it till you watch Akira. It's also the most influential way of anime being more westernized. That was one of the big ones. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
there was one before that, but honestly, I'm sure that this was one that sparked it. 1988. I mean, that was a long time ago. What, 40 years ago?
It was before I was born.
So, 70 years ago.
Yeah.
But it did have a lot of relevance that I find now, and I think everyone should watch Akira. If you're an anime lover or you just love film or you love any media that has anything in it, watch Akira and you'll probably find some similarities to what you've been watching.
Yeah.
A lot of the stories and themes like carry on throughout cinema and film, like the inferiority complex. That one's very common. You know, the scientist inventing this, the military colonel that is come on, he was like the picture perfect.
He was a carbon copy of the Colonel in Avatar.
Yeah,
The first Avatar movie, like
super stereotypical. Yeah, and you know there are so many things you can take from this film, and you know honestly, again, I was smitten with this film.
smitten.
Yeah, you got anything else?
I don't think so.
right.
Definitely watch it. Leave us a comments on what you think. You got another movie, anime we should watch?
Yeah,
If you're here, I mean,
yeah, we appreciate you guys watching, love, support, share, tell every your friends about us. Comment down below what you think what anime movie we should do next. We got some bangers coming up in anime movies, but we're always interested in hearing what everyone else has to say.
yeah.
All right, guys, we'll catch you guys later. Bye.
Later.
How long was that?